California, you have done it again. Alright, so any of you guys that like cars or boomsticks, as YouTube doesn't let me say the real word, you'll know that if your interests fall in one of these categories, California's probably the worst place to be. I mean, unless you're into the older stuff like muskets and muscle cars. Muskets and muscle cars, it's actually a really good title. I should write that down. So, yeah, as of now, if you're a car enthusiast, California is without a doubt the worst state to live in. In fact, if your car was made after 1975, you really can't do much to it. You have to follow insanely strict modification guides just because of our super strict emissions tests. Having a loud car is now even more against the law. Yeah, no, I didn't. Apparently you can get more illegal. Yeah, for those of you that don't know, it's always been a law in California that you can't have a car louder than 90 decibels. But it was just back, like until last year, it was just a fix-it ticket where here's, you gotta pay $1,000, but if you fix it and you prove that you fixed it, then you're good, you don't gotta pay the fine. Now, no matter if you fix it or not, you have to pay $1,000, which is ridiculous, not just because I like loud cars, but mostly due to the fact that some cars from factory are louder than 90 decibels. And yes, that means that you can get a ticket in your factory stock car because it's too loud, even though California law allowed the car to be imported in the first place.
I love you, California, you're the greatest state of all.
It's utterly ridiculous, and the only way to get around that is to basically be good friends with the law enforcement, or live in a city that is so rampantly overrun with crime that the cops literally have no time for something as small as that. So yeah, no, I may have a loud car, but the cops got a 187 to deal with in the neighborhood 2 feet to the right, so you're off the hook. At the cost of somebody's life. Gosh, I love Stockton. On top of that, our gas prices are horrible because our super high tax rates. In some places, it can be even between $3 to $4 a gallon. I'm not kidding about some of this.
I hate it here.
And all of this leads to our topic at hand. Because about a week ago, or 2 weeks by the time of this upload, our governor, Gavin Newsom, signed an order that by 2035, the sale of new gas-powered cars is going to be considered illegal. No, not ticket-worthy. You can't buy a brand new gasoline-powered car. Buckle up, guys, because this is going to be a frustrating video for car enthusiasts. Remember to like, comment, subscribe to my channel. It's called Spoilers, which if you're... obviously you know what you're watching. Why would I say it's from Spoilers? You clicked on the video, of course you know who. But yeah, click all that stuff, all that jazz. It helps me out a ton. If you want to get into contact with me, I have my Discord, Instagram, and Twitter linked down in the description below. Discord, I probably put a little bit of extra emphasis on because that gets crazy really fast, as most Discords do, so I definitely want you guys to check that out. Also, I have a Patreon link down below, which if you donate even $1 monthly, you have access to full ad-free content. And if you donate more, obviously there are more goodies there for you. Feel free to check that out. And yes, $1 makes a huge difference to me, so if you guys could, I'd really appreciate it. If you can't, I understand. That's what ad revenue's for. Now, let's get back to the video. Before we get into this, I am obviously biased for obvious reasons. If you watch my channel, you know I'm a huge muscle car guy. This video, while I'm trying to show you the facts, is obviously going to be biased because of my own personal bias. So yeah, if as far as like the facts that I found on the internet, that's all true, but when I start going off about what it's going to do to people, that's more of what I think is going to happen. So keep that in mind as you watch this. Alright, so this is the rundown of the bill. Alright, so I'm going to be reading it to you directly from NPR's website. I will link the article down in the description below, as well as a couple other sources, so feel free to check them out if you want. Alright, here we go. California will phase out the sale of all gasoline-powered vehicles by 2035 in a bid to lead the U.S. in reducing greenhouse gas emissions by encouraging the state's drivers to switch to electric cars. Governor Gavin Newsom signed an executive order Wednesday that amounts to the most aggressive clean car policy in the United States. Although it bans the sale of new gas cars and trucks after the 15-year deadline, it will still allow such vehicles to be owned and sold on the used car market. So yeah, no, for you guys thinking that they banned cars, I literally just did that for clicks. I'm so sorry, that's the only way to get people to watch your video nowadays. According to Gavin Newsom, our cars shouldn't make wildfires worse and create more days filled with smoky air. Cars shouldn't melt glaciers or raise sea levels, threatening our cherished beaches and coastlines. Newsom, a Democrat, also threw his support behind a ban on petroleum fracking, but called on the California legislature to make that change. With extreme wildfires still burning in the state, Newsom says fighting climate change is an emergency. However, the state's efforts have run afoul of the Trump administration, which has sought to revoke California's authority to mandate zero-emission vehicles, a challenge that has landed in court. Alright, so here's a little opinion part right here. I am not sure what Gavin Newsom means by cars affecting the fires. There's been many different videos showing that arsonists have, while they haven't been the main source, they have been part of the problem with all these wildfires. So the main problem is the dryness of the state as well as those arsonists. So I've never heard of the car possibly being one of the causes. Here's another part. Jessica Caldwell of Edmunds, the online resource for automobile information, said, many automakers have been guilty of setting short-term targets for their electrification strategy that never came to fruition. This rule, if implemented, establishes a specific timeline that they'll collectively need to adhere to, Caldwell said. California is a major market that automakers desperately need to maintain sales. And then David Kreutzer comes in with, driving cars is not what causes forest fires or makes them worse, which I wholeheartedly agree on. I don't see the correlation between the two. However, this is made that possibly may be out of ignorance, so if you do have a differing opinion, please let me know kindly down in the comment section below. If people want to drive electric cars, they'll buy them. You don't have to eliminate the competition. Kreutzer also pushed back in the notification that electric vehicles are zero emission. Electrical cars might not have emissions at the tailpipe, but they do have emissions at the power plant. And that has also been a big gripe that a lot of people have with electric cars. You know, their lithium batteries are very expensive and very, well, bad for the environment to mine out. So nothing is truly green, it's just slightly greener. But at the same time, we don't know if tried and true is worse than the new technology. And that's where a lot of the debate comes from. All right, now back to my thoughts on it. We're going to start off by talking about climate change. The idea of climate change has been around for years, and without a doubt, it has become the center of discussion in politics in recent years. Now, I'm not going to go into the does it exist or does it not exist category, because let's face it, I'm just some guy on the computer. I'm not going to change your beliefs. I have my beliefs and you have yours. But I am, of course, going to include climate change in this discussion because it is a big reason of why California is moving forward with this ban. And there's no denying that carbon monoxide in the air is not a good thing in the long run anyway. I mean, just look at Beijing, which has some of the worst pollution in the world. You can barely see 10 feet in front of you, and honestly, it makes my eyes sting just looking at it. Look at other cities like New Delhi, where it's actually considered the most polluted city in the world. You can't see because of all these emissions, but not all of these are by cars, and we'll get to that later. Now, here's the kicker. When it comes to overall pollution, the United States is ranked 89th out of 111, and that's a good thing because 1 is the most pollution, and 111 is the least. Yes, believe it or not, that is actually better than the UK, but not better than Canada, because Canada is friends with everyone, even Mother Nature. We're actually not doing half bad. Now, of course, I'm also not going to mislead you because that's in total pollution overall. As far as carbon monoxide, or is carbon dioxide, I kind of forgot. But as far as like carbon dioxide emissions, we are definitely around second. Just before people try to prove me wrong, I am very well aware that there are different kinds of pollution. However, when you look at countries with like the highest average pollution, you get places like China, India, and Afghanistan. Now, these countries are packed with people just like the United States, and they probably have a lot of cars like we do. Heck, their pollution from automobiles is probably worse because their cars aren't held to the same standards as ours when it comes to smog testing. But can having worse pollution from cars really affect the air quality that much? And the answer is yes. But that's also not the only thing that affects air quality. Don't get me wrong, carbon monoxide pollution is a very serious thing, especially in the muscle car era of the 60s and 70s. These V8s were carbon monoxide machines. Heck, I turned my Buick on with the garage door closed and I almost immediately got a bit lightheaded. That's just how a lot of cars were back in the day. However, in 1970, we passed the Clean Air Act, and that actually started having a huge difference on our emissions. However, if cars have gotten a lot better in pollution, then how come the United States is so near the top when it comes to carbon monoxide? How come the air quality in California has stayed stagnant or even gotten worse than other states when we all have the same cars? Let's go back to the countries I listed earlier: India, China, and Afghanistan. What do all these countries have in common? That's right, they are all considered industrial societies as they make goods for the whole world and export them constantly. These countries require a lot of power and factories, all running on fossil fuels. These fossil fuels kick up tons of carbon monoxide. Think like a car, but a million times bigger. Mix these with countries that don't have the same money or values of Western society, and you get a country that values profits over pollution, which again is how you end up with cities as horrible as Beijing and New Delhi. I know I keep bringing them up, but They're probably the best examples of what I'm talking about. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say the USA is completely innocent of this kind of stuff. I'm just saying that we have a better handle on it through our laws and our requirements than a lot of other countries do. That said, there are always ways for us to improve. And I believe that a ban on gas-powered automobiles is not the way to go about it. We already have the strictest pollution restrictions for automobiles in the country, so why are we still the most polluted state in the union? Once again, the answer is industry and also a healthy dose of yearly wildfires. That also mixed with a mountainous terrain that kind of keeps everything lumped in one place, so our pollution isn't leaving. California is also the #1 state when it comes to industry, with a mind-blowing 1,500 plus factories in this state alone. And most of these factories, like China, are powered by fossil fuels. And as I said before, these factories are like cars on steroids when it comes to pollution. And while the vehicles are the leading cause of carbon monoxide pollution worldwide, these measurements fail to mention that included in those statements are many different vehicles used in those industries, including semi-trucks, bulldozers, transporters, and more. And since they're generally very heavy industrial machines, they get really, really horrible gas mileage and really horrible... I mean, let's just face it, they don't gotta pass a smog test. I mean, look at this thing. It probably gets like 100 gallons per mile. Let's be perfectly honest. This thing is not efficient. Before we go any further, let me clear something up. I am not against switching to electrical vehicles. I love my muscle car, but it is certainly not my daily driver. My daily driver is a garbage 2000 Ford Volkswagen Jetta. Gets like 40 miles per gallon. It's great. Love that thing. Now, I would love an electric car, as long as it's fun to drive. But I'm just noticing a trend in politics where it's not up to the companies to fix the problem. It's up to us, the people. And honestly, that's just genuinely not fair, especially when we're not the cause of all the extreme pollution. And yeah, you can make the point that, we are indirectly the cause of it because we use their subjects. And yes, that's true, but that's a lot of stuff that we just need. My personal opinion, there should be more regulations on how they go about creating that stuff, but that's a whole nother topic. Why should Rebecca, single mother of 3, be forced to take out a loan for an electric car while Frank, CEO of the oil industry, is able to buy a whole horde of Teslas on a whim? Just think about that for a bit. The electric car is much more detrimental to Rebecca than it is to Frank. Another issue I have with this is the cost of gasoline. Gas prices will either shoot up or shoot down. Because the demand will be lower, the cost will also drop, but give it a few years, corporations will likely start marketing it as a luxury good, and prices may skyrocket to prices we've never seen. Yeah, I know that it's giving automotive companies a chance to get with the curve, but there's some people that are still driving 1995 Civics, and they're not going to be able to buy a brand new car or even a used one. When gas prices rise, many people below the poverty line, roughly 20% of Californians, mind you, will not be able to keep up and will get squashed in the process. And for those of you that other states that hate Californians coming and switching up your laws and stuff, that's going to cause a mass exodus like you've never seen. There are going to be so many Californians in your state, and if you don't want that, you should probably be against this. California is also huge in the tourism industry. So many Americans take road trips to the West Coast. But when gas cars disappear, gas stations are sure to follow or may get more expensive. As a result, many people will suddenly not be able to visit Cali anymore, mainly because of the simple fact their car will either be stranded there or they're going to have to pay excessive amounts just to drive back. This will single-handedly kill the tourism industry, which, again, will put Californians out of a job. To sum it all up, I'm not against the state going electric. I am against the state going completely cold turkey. If it was up to me, I would personally have it limiting the amount of gas cars sold each year, just making that number smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller with each year coming afterwards. Going cold turkey is going to jar a lot of companies, a lot of people, and I personally think it's not a good way to go around it. And above all, I feel that billion-dollar companies should be held to the same standards as the individuals. We can't necessarily pay to go electric, but you definitely can. It's gonna take all of us. Alright, so that about wraps up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to leave your opinions down in the comments below. Just try to keep it respectful. I'm always down to talk with anybody about any subject. Like I said before, remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. It helps me out a ton. As I've been saying in my other previous videos, if I get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year, I will shave my head. Yes, that's right. Last year I shaved the beard. This year I'll shave the head. It's going to be a lot of fun. My girlfriend's going to kill me. But yeah, that about wraps it up. I hope you guys have a great day. Peace.